I hate eBay. I hate eBay buyers. I hate eBay sellers. I hate the fees associated with eBay. I don't like eBay at all. These are not necessarily my thoughts, but these are instead comments that I've heard from people as they talk about the evil marketplace known as eBay or Feebay, if you will. People have some very strong opinions when it comes to how business is conducted on eBay. And I've been thinking a lot about this. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking a lot about eBay and the behaviors that I've seen demonstrated by buyers and sellers on eBay. And I honestly don't do a ton of selling myself on eBay, to be honest with you. But I do some buying, primarily for the giveaways that we do on the channel. I tend to go there at least once a month, and I will buy a handful of books to actually give away via the channel. So I don't do a ton. I think there's people out there that use eBay a lot more than I. I think there are people out there that actually have to use eBay more than I because of where they happen to live in the country, where they don't have access to local comic shops and things like that actually have the type of books that they're interested in. And so I think a lot of people have to use eBay. But what I've really been thinking about when it relates to eBay are the behaviors that I've either seen demonstrated or that I've heard about through other people. I've been thinking a lot about that. And what I've realized, and you guys may agree or disagree with me, I think you'll let me know. You'll let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree. I'm pretty confident of that. And my only thing is, let's just do it civilly, right? That is the mantra here on the Regie Collects channel. It's all about civility. I've been thinking about these behaviors, and what I have come to realize is that we are eBay. We are the buyers on eBay. We are the sellers on eBay. We are eBay. And people say that the buyers and sellers on eBay are bad, but we are eBay. And I've come to this conclusion because if you really think about it, the comic book community is a relatively small community of people. We are the ones that are creating content for YouTube and podcasts. We are the same people that are buying and selling comics on Instagram and Facebook and doing the raffles and all of those other things. And we are the buyers and sellers on eBay as well. Yes, there are people that are outside, fringe people, if you will, that are, selling books on eBay just because they inherited books or whatever it happens to be. But the comic book community, by and large, is a relatively small group of people. We are the buyers and the sellers on eBay. But when you think about the eBay buyer and seller, it's not the same as the buyer and seller on Facebook, nor is it the same as the buyer and seller on Instagram. And I actually do some business via Instagram. They're not the same. So why is that? One of the theories that I have, and you guys may have other theories, one of the theories that I have is that when it comes to eBay, there's a certain amount of anonymity. There is a certain amount of anonymity associated with eBay. Very few people actually use their names on eBay. Very few people even actually sign their messages. If you're exchanging messages with a seller, very few people actually sign their name at the bottom. There is a certain amount of anonymity. And with that anonymity comes some freedoms. Some freedoms to maybe not behave as well as one should if one's name were actually known. Think about it. If people know you, you are less likely to act out, especially in a small community of people. Hashtag comic book hoodwatch. You are less likely to act out because people will know you and word will get around as to who you are. But if people don't necessarily know your name and you're just using some kind of, something comic books or whatever it happens to be, then there is that freedom that comes with the fact that no one actually knows who you are. And that freedom gives you the ability to maybe do and say some things that you wouldn't otherwise do. It gives you the freedom to charge maybe some prices that don't connect with reality at all, right? There is a freedom that comes with that. And I am actually in the middle of two situations right now that one has resolved itself quite easily and another may resolve itself. We'll see what happens with it. But two transactions or exchanges, if you will, with sellers on eBay that are quite interesting, and I want to walk you through them very, very briefly. So there was a seller on eBay that I reached out to that had some comic books that they were offering up, and the comics weren't quite in line with the FMV that I was able to find. And so I reached out to the seller and I said, hey, here are 3 books that you have that I'm interested in buying, but here's what I'm willing to pay. And I stated my price, and I stated the rationale being that the FMV for these books was what I'm willing to pay. And then I offered up $15 for shipping because 3 slabs can easily be shipped in a medium flat rate box for $15 or so, just about anywhere in the country, no problem. So the response that I received, and I signed it, sent my message over, well-written message, I think, signed it, Regie, boom. A couple of minutes later, I get a response back. The response said, hey, those are actually not bad prices, but I will take off a couple of bucks on the first book, but I want to get the starting price on my other 2. I will charge you this for shipping on the first book plus this amount for each additional book. And what I realized when I went back to Go Collect to reference the prices, what I found is that the first book was $20 over FMV, the second was $29 over FMV, the last was $9 over FMV, and the shipping was about $2 or so above what it would actually cost to ship the book. And so it was basically $60 over. So I respond back, thank you for getting back to me. I definitely appreciate it. I struggle with paying $60 total over FMV for these books. And I thank the person for their time, and I sign it. The response that comes back is, how do they because I told them where I got my prices from. How do they calculate FMV was the question. My response was, I don't know. I was like, look, I'm a YouTuber. I talk to these people that own these sites, people that run these sites, and I still don't know truly how they calculate FMV. And I basically say to the guy, but you have to use something. Right? You have to use something. And so I told him what I used and the rationale behind it, because you have to have some point of reference to decide what to buy and sell a book for. And the person was like, hey, cool, I get it. Thank you for the well-written response that explains your position. And the guy was like, I hope we can do business in the future. My response was, I'd like to do business with you in the future as well, because I give away books every single month, right? And it was and I don't think he signed his messages, but I certainly signed mine. But it's an example of how even if you don't necessarily see eye to eye with someone else, you can maintain a certain level of civility with that person that allows you to part company with an improved understanding of that other person. And while I didn't get that $60 off, maybe there's room in the future for me to be able to do business with this guy, because he had some dope books. I'm not even going to, I'm not going to hold you up on that one. There were some dope books that I would love to have received so that I can turn around and give these books away, but it didn't work out. The second transaction is still kind of ongoing. The second, I actually picked up some books, some Eternals #2, which is the first appearance of Ajax and the Celestials from a seller. And I'm going to shortcut this one because it is kind of a long, meandering kind of tale, if you will. But these books were being offered. They were part of a large lot. And I thought at the time it was like 12 in the lot. And you can have any number of the 12, right? So I picked 5. I'm like, boom, I want 5 of these books. Send the seller a message, bro, check it out. I want 5 of these books. If the condition of the books is what you say that it is, ranging from a 9.2 up to a 9.6, then I'll buy more. And the statement went on to, the ad went on to say some books would be lower grade, some would be other grades. Books could definitely benefit from a press and clean. But my general feeling was that I would at least get 1 or 2 books that were 9.2 to 9.6. That was my belief. I ordered the books. The books took some time to get to me. and we won't talk about why. It took some time to get to me. When they arrived, I was out of town, but upon returning into town, I received the books. I looked at the books and I was disappointed. I was disappointed because the books weren't close to 9.2s and 9.6s. Just disappointed. So I reached out to the seller and said, check it out. I was hoping that the books, once arrived, the quality of the books would make up for the delays in shipping, because the delays in shipping were substantial in my mind. And I was hopeful that the quality of the books would make up for that, but they don't. And I actually sent the seller 5 photos of the books that I received. One case, there was a book with a slash. There were books with corner dings. There were books with lots and lots of heavy soiling that I don't think can actually be cleaned and removed. Lots of books with spine ticks. And again, when you look at the headline for this particular ad, it was very clear, like 9.2 to 9.6, some books may be lower grade. Okay, cool. So in my head, at least 1 or 2 of my 5 would be higher grade books. That wasn't necessarily the case. I am, by and large, most of these books are probably mid-grade, and I haven't tried to clean them or anything or press them, but my guessing is that they're probably mid-grade to maybe 8.5, maybe on a good day, right? And a lot depends upon how good the clean and press improves the quality. So I reach out to the seller and I'm like, this is not what I was expecting. And so the seller and I have had some exchanges over the last couple of hours about these books. And I don't know how it's going to be resolved, but we're having a dialogue, and it's a civil dialogue. I think his first response to me was, I'm sorry that the books didn't match your expectations. That is a fantastic way to start any kind of exchange. That is a fantastic way. And so the guy actually signed his message. So I'm signing mine, Regie, because that's what I do. The guy actually signed his name, which said a lot to me, that he is not afraid to say who he is. And we've exchanged multiple messages, like I said, over the last couple of hours, kind of discussing this thing. And my hope is that there will be some kind of resolution that is reached. And hopefully that resolution isn't, hey, here's your books back, give me all my money back, because I still want the books. I just want something that will make me feel better about the transaction as a whole. And I don't know if it's a dollar amount or something else, but you want something that makes you feel better. But the way that I'm able to engage with this guy gives me hope that there is room for improvement there. But my point in all this is that we are the buyers and the sellers that are on eBay, on Facebook, on Instagram. We are the ones that are technically in control. And I think that it's important for us all, myself included, to remember that you're dealing with another collector. You're dealing with somebody that you may actually know. And so civility is so important. If we want the exchanges on eBay to actually improve, if we want those transactions to go smoother, we can actually control that. We are actually in control. We are the ones that can dictate that. Let's step out from being so anonymous. Let's step out from that. Let's not be afraid to put our name on something. Let's not be afraid to sign your name and take ownership of the things that you are doing and saying. I hope that didn't come off as preachy. I'll have to listen to this back. And that is definitely not the goal. That is definitely not the goal. But I don't know. You guys will tell me if I'm unable to discern upon playback that this is too preachy. I'm sure that you guys will tell me in the comments. But I do want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this vlog, to this podcast, because there is no answer to some of these things, but it's designed to like spark some thought. And if I can get you to stop and think just a little bit, regardless of what you decide, I personally think that is a win. If we can just stop and think and ask ourselves, is this how we want to behave? Is this how we want to handle this situation? We're all smart people. And I think if you can pump your brakes and ask yourself that question, more than likely, you're going to make a better decision at the end of the day. But I want to thank you guys for listening to this. Certainly, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so at RegieCollects on Instagram and RegieCollects@gmail.com. Because if you need me, I am not too hard to find. Take care.